Now it's been nearly 2 years since we've rescued this massive Aeonium plant from Facebook Marketplace. Now I also rescued these 2 huge cactus plants beside it, but unfortunately we've run out of space and this guy is getting absolutely wild, and so I figured it's a great time for me to finally propagate it. Now if you're new to the channel guys, please don't hesitate to hit the subscribe button. We really do appreciate it. Now I've actually never propagated an Aeonium before, and so this is my first time. Now things have been going really well because the plants actually started to flower, which is something I didn't even know was possible. Now I've kept this exclusively indoors since rescuing it from a seller on Facebook Marketplace, but now I think it's time for me to start over. So I'm going to be doing something drastic in making loads of cuts and cutting this right back to the bare stump, and then hopefully we can then propagate the ones that we've cut off into some new plants. Now obviously I won't be able to keep all of these plants. I will be selling some on and maybe even giving some away to a lucky subscriber, so stay tuned for that guys. Now this plant can grow super quick, especially in the right conditions. Now it is a thirsty plant, so you've got to make sure that it's not completely dried out because the leaves will fall off if it gets too dry. Now trust me when I say I've been through some highs and some lows while growing this plant, but I think I've kind of gotten the right balance now. Now cutting this plant back guys isn't very difficult, however it is so hard to commit to actually chopping it back. I absolutely love the way this plant looks on our windowsill in our living room. It has such a presence. I oftentimes see people walking by and this plant often catches their gaze because of just how amazing it looks with all of its arms reaching up towards the sun. Now unfortunately it was just getting too big and we don't have enough space for it anymore, and so something had to give, and I thought as it's spring and the growing season, now would be the best time to actually cut this back, and so here goes nothing. Now once you're ready guys, all you then have to do is just start chopping, and don't be precious. I recommend cutting this back quite deep and leaving much of the branch attached to the actual leaves. Later on you'll see me actually cutting this back to make it nice and short so that it can fit in the new containers with compost. You just want it enough stem in the soil for the leaves to stick out the ground, and this will actually give you enough length for the plant to grow. If the stems are too long sticking out of the soil, sometimes it looks a bit wonky and you've already hampered your growing process. So in my opinion they look a lot better when they're cut short, but for now you just simply just chop them back like this. And once you've done all of that guys, you'll end up with a plant that looks like this, just a stump. Now my plan is to actually leave this in the pot on the off chance that it might start to sprout again, although it was probably a good idea for me to leave at least one on there. But I'm not too worried whether or not this will sprout again, because as you can see I've got many cuttings to choose from, as this one was definitely too big to keep on our windowsill. Now that all my branches have been severed, it's time for me to remove this plant pot and actually give this window a nice clean. I've been meaning to do this for so long, but it's about time for me to finally do that now that the plant has been cut and moved out the way. I've already started cleaning the outside of the windows as it's springtime, and so it's also a good idea to give inside a good clean. Now one of my favorite things to use to clean glass is a humble newspaper guys. A bit of window cleaner or even some water can just make your windows absolutely shine. And now that there's no great big massive Aeonium plant in the way, I can actually get that done. Now that we've cut the plant guys, it's now time for the fun part, which will be actually chopping these down to size and placing them in some new compost in order to get them to root. Now you're probably thinking, what am I going to do with all of these Aeonium cuttings? Now 2 things. One, I'm going to be putting some of these on Facebook Marketplace for some locals to come and pick them up at a really nice price, and that money will then go back into buying compost and some of the supplies that I need in my garden. And secondly, I will be giving a couple of these away to some of our subscribers, so keep an eye out for that, guys. I'm sure I'll find some way of doing a giveaway in the very near future. Okay, so I've got some compost here along with some pots, and all I'm going to be doing today is filling up these pots, and then hopefully we can get some of these Aeoniums planted in there, get them rooted in the next few weeks. Best time to do this is in spring. Get that nice and firm in there. Okay, so I've got my pots ready, really compacted soil, and now it's time for me to get the Aeonium cuttings and actually trim them back and see what fits where. I won't be keeping all of them, but I'll use as many as I can. Okay, so these are just like the branches with no noticeable leaves on there. These are going to be chucked away. I always hate throwing away them, but I mean there's no point keeping them. Some of them do look pretty cool, almost like pieces of artwork, guys. But yeah, we won't be keeping any of these. What we're really after is the pieces with these flowers on. This one is quite cool how it's sort of staggered, but I'll probably put these ones as a secondary option. I'm going for ones that look more like this, guys. The bigger the heads, the better. This one's a bit smaller, but could potentially still be used. And I'm just gonna clean this all back. Probably chop this down a little bit, just to see, and then put it in the soil. If it's too long, or if this can actually fit in one of these, then happy days. And all you have to do, guys, is simply just get your compost and push your Aeonium piece as far down as possible. Now, as you can see, it's sticking out a bit, which I don't want, so what I'll then be doing is cutting some of this off around here. Then we can stick it in so that it can be just above the soil. You can make it go as low as possible, obviously not touching on the soil, so that when it gets wet you don't want it to damage the leaves. But that's as simple as it is. Then you simply just firm it in to make sure it stands upright. You can backfill that with soil if you need to, and yeah, job done really. You can then put it in a nice cool place, keep it out of the sun, because the sun will cause it to wilt and to dry out. You want it to be nice and cool. Obviously it's better to do this in spring going into the summer where it's warmer, and like I said, you can backfill it, put a bit of extra soil around it if you need to, and it's as simple as that. Now what I will do, I will water these, but from the bottom. So I'll place this in a container with some water and let it drink the water upwards. Okay guys, so we're all done now. Our Aeoniums have all been chopped and placed in the soil, ready to drink some water from the base, and hopefully as many of these as possible will root. I'll keep them out of the intense sun. We've even got this funky one here with all these little petals coming out from all the little branches, which is pretty cool. This is probably the largest one that we had. I kind of dropped the ball with the mother plant, guys, because I wasn't able to water it as thoroughly. I mean, it just drank so much water because of all the branches, which is why I've chopped it and decided to start again. It got really too big for the house anyway. You can keep these indoors, as I've clearly showed. It does prefer the warmth, however, and so it does really well in the summer months, where the color of the leaves change from that green to this gorgeous sort of browny red, almost like a burgundy color. So yeah, all done now. Going to be watering these, and I'll keep you guys updated to let you see how they get on. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all of these yet. If they do take and start growing, I will probably put them on my Etsy store, as I try to populate that with as many things that we grow here in the garden. And these are really gorgeous plants. They do have a little smell. Let me put that up to the camera so you can have a little whiff. They do actually have an unusual little fragrance. Not pungent, but just enough if you get up close to smell it, which is pretty cool. The flowers themselves don't have much smell, but the leaves do produce a small little scent, which isn't something that I'm worried about. We've had it in the house for a little while. I mean, I just absolutely love the color and how they change color depending on the sunlight. So that's it for me today, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this experience, maybe learned something new about the humble Aeonium, which is kind of a succulent and a little tree in one. Really cool plant. As always, this is Ken Roy signing off for another day. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.